Boa tarde, sejam muito bem-vindos e bem-vindas ao evento digital da série Brasil na Jornada de Transformação, que a Deloitte vem promovendo com a SU Brasil. Tecnologias exponenciais e abordagens inovadoras em transformação digital e de negócios são a tônica desses eventos que nós transmitimos diretamente do Learning Village, o campus da SU Brasil em São Paulo, que é onde a gente está aqui hoje e agora. A gente continua discutindo também sobre as tendências e desafios que moldam os ecossistemas digitais, só que dessa vez analisando como a inovação e as novas tecnologias impulsionam o crescimento exponencial. E para falar um pouco do propósito do nosso encontro, eu convido aqui o Ronaldo Fragoso, líder de alianças e ecossistemas da Deloitte. Ronaldo, seja muitíssimo bem-vindo.
Obrigado, Ana. Um prazer estar aqui de novo. Boa tarde a todos e todas que nos ouvem. Esse evento, ele segue a série nossa de transformação de negócios, mais voltado à questão de ecossistemas digitais. E o que a gente vai ter hoje é a oportunidade de ouvir um pouco da experiência das nossas alianças, e especificamente a questão da Dell, que é uma das nossas alianças estratégicas, onde a gente tem desenvolvido iniciativas na questão de cloud, na questão de segurança, e também, junto com isso, os nossos também speakers internacionais, que trazem um pouco dessa visão global do que está acontecendo em relação à inovação, a novas tecnologias. O objetivo desse evento, onde a gente traz experiências também dos nossos clientes, então a gente vai ter a participação aqui da Braskem também com a gente, contando um pouco da experiência deles. A Braskem tem sido destaque na questão de transformação digital, inovação, busca de novos produtos e serviços nesse mercado também bastante desafiador. E acho que a ideia é que a gente junte esses três temas ou essas iniciativas diversas, né, com uma parcela do que são as nossas alianças, os nossos conhecimentos globais e locais e também de algumas experiências de clientes, e transforme isso numa experiência para o próprio CEO, né? A gente tem o programa do CIO, que é voltado a esse momento de novas soluções tecnológicas e como é enfrentar, porque a gente já tem certeza que nenhuma empresa, e mesmo nós, não temos a pretensão de termos todas as soluções sozinhas. Então, acho que a ideia é compartilhar um pouco dessa experiência e trazer aí para quem está nos assistindo compartilhar um pouco dessas experiências diversas e acho que trazer essa discussão num painel que a gente vai fazer. Então, acho que só para reforçar a questão do CIO Program, acho que a gente tem um QR Code aqui, quem quiser depois aproveitar para poder baixar e participar, essa é a ideia do nosso programa também de compartilhamento de conteúdo. Ana, por favor.
Muito bom, muito obrigada. No evento de hoje nós vamos abordar o tema Os desafios dos ecossistemas digitais, inovação e novas tecnologias, impulsionando o crescimento exponencial. Acompanhem comigo aqui na tela quem são os especialistas que nós convidamos para hoje, para essa discussão. A gente começa com o keynote speaker do evento, Uri Fishelson, expert em inovação corporativa da Deloitte. E ele vai fazer uma apresentação sobre as tendências globais em inovação corporativa. Na sequência, Gláucia Alves, líder de Innovation e Ventures da Deloitte, vai fazer uma apresentação sobre inovação e tecnologias, impulsionando o crescimento exponencial. Em seguida, eu vou voltar aqui para o Ronaldo, nosso líder de alianças e ecossistemas da Deloitte, que vai conduzir um bate-papo com Fishelson e Gláucia sobre os tópicos que eles apresentaram anteriormente, então não perca. E a gente continua o nosso dia aqui com Fragoso, fazendo um painel moderando os desafios dos ecossistemas digitais, que vai contar com a participação de Diego Puerta, CEO da Dell no Brasil, Daniel Salles, CEO da Braskem, e Renata Muramoto, nossa sócia líder de consultoria empresarial da Deloitte. Bom, vamos começar porque hoje o dia vai ser longo, a gente tem muito conteúdo interessante pela frente e eu quero já começar iniciando aqui com o nosso querido Uri Fishelson, ele que é expert em inovação corporativa da Deloitte. Ele é um líder do ecossistema de inovação israelense há mais de uma década. Ele apoiou os stakeholders facilitando colaborações, garantindo financiamento, identificando as tecnologias certas para enfrentar os seus desafios e necessidades. Recentemente, Uri atuou como Head of Technology Scouting na Deloitte Catalyst, em Israel. A sua paixão é a convergência entre inovação e sustentabilidade e o desenvolvimento de capacidades de inovação aberta em grandes corporações. Uri, welcome to our event. We are very excited to hear from you. And word is yours.
Great. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. I picked up some words from the Portuguese intro. So as mentioned, Uri Fishelson, until very recently at Deloitte Israel, Deloitte Catalyst, and now in transition to Deloitte in the US to focus on innovation and sustainability. I've been in the innovation space for over a decade, and in the past 6 years have been working with large corporates to help them both identify technologies to tackle their challenges and needs from the ecosystem around them, whether it's startups, academia, other big companies, and so on, and whether it's developing their internal capacity for innovation. So building that capability to do innovation, develop that muscle that some companies have, some companies don't, some understand they need to work on developing it, and some are still in that process of appreciating the benefits of corporate innovations or internal innovation, and of course, open innovation in general. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about innovation continuity. Lots of things are happening in the world, and continuing innovation and not sort of dropping the ball in that process is a critical element for practically every company to stay ahead of the competition or on par with the competition. So if we can go one slide ahead. So, when COVID started 2.5 years ago, I was in Israel, and we were asking ourselves, as people who are doing innovation for big corporates, are we going to see a fear? A fear meaning that innovation would be put aside and companies saying, okay, we are now focusing on our core business. And after COVID, and once this wave will go past, we will come back to innovation and do it. So we asked this ourselves, and then we went out and asked this to many of our big corporates from all around us. It was really across industries, from energy to automotive to pharmaceuticals to materials and so on. And 100% of the companies said, not only are we not putting innovation aside, but we are 100% committed to continuing to do so. And one of the unique things that we saw that stemmed from that is that not only did they continue to do innovation, but the vast majority expanded what innovation is for them. So instead of looking at the immediate things that they were doing day to day, developing a new product, thinking about a new business models, many of the companies started looking at new technologies that enable their business and operational continuity. You can see on the right side of the slide the top 5 areas that we've seen. If we can go one slide back, the top 5 areas that we saw companies focusing on. It's e-commerce, because everyone is stuck at home, digital health, hygiene and sterilization, remote work, of course, and remote production and servicing. And no matter what company we asked, all of these topics came up as in areas that they are suddenly doing in response to COVID. And of course, we've moved on, and COVID is still with us, but now in a more manageable way. If we can go one slide ahead. But the world has not stopped in throwing risks and uncertainties at companies from all over the world. If we can jump, exactly. And again, right now, maybe 3 of the top things we are talking about are chips shortages that impact everything from our cars to our computers to our mobile phones and so on. Supply chain bottlenecks that started in COVID and have not been solved since, and sometimes even the situation is deteriorating for some reasons. One of those reasons being the Russia-Ukraine conflict or war that we see. And all of these things, these are the things that happen right now, but they are not exclusive to this instant, because once these are, let's say, behind us, something else will come up, and business risks and people-centric risks are always around us. And companies really have to do that, to think about these risks on a continuous way and identify these different opportunities and solutions to solve them. When in Deloitte Catalyst, which is a practice of Deloitte in Israel, and today started in Israel and today in more than 10 countries, our focus is on our global clients, not just Israeli clients, to help connect them with the Israeli innovation ecosystem. Now, when we're thinking about ecosystems, it's very clear today, I think, and for everyone, that no one person, company, organization has all the knowledge and all the insights towards what's going to happen and how to do things right. And that's why we bring together companies and organizations to really complement each other and create that bigger picture that the company can take and look at, and through that further develop itself and really stay ahead of the curve. So when that supply chain bottleneck comes in, they already have some solutions in their drawer that they can go ahead. Maybe they met a startup that can help them in that one last mile delivery to get to their end client faster. Maybe they developed a virtual solution that allows to monitor the adherence of patients to a certain treatment without them leaving their house, because right now maybe they cannot. So you want to make sure that they're using the medicine right, but not just from the pharmaceutical company. If you're an insurance company, you also want to have that perception about what's going on with your insurers and make sure that they are also following up on the treatments that they need to take and get to get the best solution. So you can see it's really across the board that fact that new solutions need to be identified. And if I'm looking at my experience from the Israeli innovation ecosystem, which has approximately 7,000 startups at every given moment and over 250 different VCs active in the ecosystem, and keep in mind that Israel is a 9 million people country, Israel is a very tight-knit ecosystem. The startups work with each other, talk to each other. The VCs support the startups on a day-to-day basis. Numerous accelerators and incubators are there to really push forward different companies wherever they are and in whichever stage they are in. And once that ecosystem is in place and these alliances are in place, and as a Deloitte has so many alliances in place, partners that we work with all around the world and in every country. And I know Deloitte Brazil has numerous such connections within its own ecosystem and also in other ecosystems around the world. I'm here due to my relationship and connections with our Deloitte Brazil colleagues, and we share insights and ideas and technologies from all around to really benefit each other. But as a corporate, as a company going into this space of innovation, it's really a matter of pushing forward, understanding what we know, what we don't know, what we don't know that we don't know, and through that find new things. And one of the things to remember in that innovation process is that there are different pitfalls in the process. And if we can jump to the next slide, one of the things that we've identified in Deloitte Catalyst in Israel, a sort of methodology that we've put in place, is sort of the basis of much of the work that we do, is what we call the voids, the valleys of open innovation death. I see that the D has jumped there, but we identified two main voids in that process of open innovation. Although many times this is also true for corporate internal innovation. Those coming after the scouting process, so once we identify a need and start looking for technologies, we found 50 of them, and now, okay, how we're moving forward, and then sort of we stop our work. Or maybe we've moved forward and started a POC with 5 of the startups, some more promising results than others, but with the promising ones, now we need to move ahead and implement and scale, and it takes a while. And again, we meet that void and we stop and we don't get to the market. And there are numerous reasons why innovation fails in different places. Some of them are mentioned on this slide here. The not invented here syndrome, which is sort of an internal resistance to innovation coming in from that expert who says, I'm 25 years in this field. how would a 25-year-old person come in and tell me what I'm doing wrong and give me advice on how to do something different? Or maybe it's that insufficient visibility from that small innovation team, 2 to 3 people who are doing innovation. They're looking at startup, but these startups and those technologies are not trickling into the rest of the organization. Another very important element is the alignment between the innovation team and the business unit. How are we actually moving from that POC that maybe the business unit was involved in and helped support, but taking it from that and making it an actual business, making it an actual product, making it an actual market solution that can be used. Maybe it's a new business model that the company suddenly uses, or maybe, by the way, it's even a new process that the finance or legal department are going to use to streamline and sort of solve some of the bottlenecks in that customer acquisition process. And of course, one of the issues, the very common issue that we've seen, is sort of an unstructured innovation process. And all of these are just a sample, sort of the top 4 reasons that we see innovation fail, but there are lots of others, and really lots of different things to consider when looking to solve those open innovation issues. If we go one slide ahead, I sort of want to wrap up with sort of some thoughts about how do companies come out of innovation. We all know sort of the horror stories, the companies that stopped innovating or that resisted innovation, like the not invented here syndrome, the BlackBerry, the Kodaks of the world. And all of these different companies we know, most of them, even if they're with us, they're not really with us. But one of the interesting things we see, and I gave here sort of a few examples, are the companies who stopped innovating. And once they did, they fell, but they found a way, one way or another. There are different ways that were done here from the different companies you see on the slide, that they sort of came back to life. And not only did they come back to life, they came back to life in a very big way. So I think most of us, I'm an Apple enthusiast since I was about 6 years old. So I'm sort of biased in that way, but know the story of Apple, from a very innovative, state-of-the-art company, developing really interesting products, going down and almost crashing completely to be saved by Microsoft, its arch enemy, and then coming back to the place it is today. Or Lego. I'm guessing everyone who are listening have played with Legos at some point of their life, and maybe even today. But Lego at a certain time point in the 80s sort of lost its track. It was quite boring. It didn't innovate. It had exactly the same things again and again, and didn't attract new clients. But then it started with all of its partnership. It started looking bigger. It started bringing in new novel designers to really do something different and change the company from one place to the other. Some of you might have heard about the Lego movie and how Lego is really everywhere. We see Nokia here on the upper right-hand side. I had one, probably many of you had a Nokia phone, and the company almost crashed completely. And very few people know that today Nokia is actually, again, a very big company, accounting for about, I think, 3 or 4% of the Finnish GDP, focusing on networks, network systems, network infrastructure. Again, it just took a turn and was able to revive itself. Starbucks, similar story, sort of crashed and revived itself, not by new products. They do introduce new products every few weeks or months, but the thing that sort of changed there for that company, for Starbucks, was not the product, but was the customer experience, the design, the client approach, the business model, if you may. Again, a different approach, taking something completely different. You can see here that the revival of innovation didn't necessarily come from a new product. It came from changing the business, the state of mind, changing how they approach different issues and different problems, and really trying to do something different. The 5th example here in the middle is the IBM computer, one of the first ones. And again, a company that reinvented itself and moved away from the personal computer into completely different business lines. And today, one of the things we hear most about it is its work in the quantum realm. And of course, General Motors, which of course also reinvented its logo, but besides that, from almost crashing and being saved by the US government, really moved somewhere else. So, I try to sort of recap really quickly several examples of how, how taking innovation and sort of the ecosystem approach allows a company to look beyond its own non-physical borders, look ahead, look outside, and identify partners that can really take it to the next level. And how that innovation is not something that can be stopped for a while, or maybe, for a little while, dropped aside, focusing on a certain business or on supply chain or on other topics, and we'll come back to it. Innovation, I think today, is one of the basic elements of a company. It needs to be there. It needs to be ingrained in the company's culture, and really take that company culture ahead and forward.